Alright, good morning students. Today we'll be focusing on the king and pawn endgame. In particular, we'll be looking at a pass pawn. How do we know whether or not we can promote a pass pawn? Alright? Now, in this portion right here, we are looking at this portion where the pawn is on e5, and we will be trying to find a little shortcut in knowing whether or not the pawn can promote without the help of my king. So of course in this portion here white is winning, but you will have to know how to win this portion in order to go on. Today we're going to be talking about the rule of the square in order to find out whether or not the pawn can promote without the help of the king. Now before we find out, we talk about the rule of the square, we need to know how to create the square. You create the square by looking where the position where the pawn is at, where the pawn is going to promote. Then you draw an imaginary line to the end, following the diagonal to the end of the board. That becomes our next corner, and in line with the pawn becomes the next corner. So in a sense, the four corners of the square are bam, 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 bam. Now, of course, when you're playing a game, you can't highlight the board like as I'm doing now, so you have to do it in your head. So finding the four corners, you'll know where the square of the pawn is. Now the rule says, if the king is in the square of the pawn or can step in the square of the pawn, then the game will draw, meaning that the king will catch the pawn. Let's say it again. If the king is already in the square of the pawn, or the king can step in the square of the pawn, he will catch the pawn. That means if the king can touch any one of these squares, for this round I'm going to highlight them all. If the king can touch any one of these squares here, any single one of them here, then he will catch the pawn, because all these squares are in the square of the pawn. So if the king is on any one of those squares, he can catch it. If the king is unable to touch any one of those squares, then he will not be able to catch the pawn. It means therefore then that if white to move, then the king cannot catch the pawn. But if it's black to move, the king will catch the pawn. Let's give an idea. Let's say it's white to move. White will play pawn push, and that creates a new square for the pawn. Alright? Let's see the new square of the pawn. Where the pawn is at, where the pawn is going to promote, and that imaginary diagonal to the end of the board, that becomes another square, and back in line with the pawn. So here again, we see now that the square of the pawn is right here. Now, is the king in the square of the pawn? No. So we know already that the king cannot catch a pawn. So even if the king tries to run to the square, he's still too far, because when the pawn pushes again, right? Again, a new square is created. Where the pawn is at, where the pawn is going, right in the diagonal and back in line. Again, a new square is created. Good? And the king is still not in the square of the pawn. That means when the king tries to get close to the square, I will just promote to a queen, and we all know how to checkmate with a king and a queen. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now let's look at another example right here. Now in this portion here, this pawn is a pass pawn. This pawn is trying to run up the board to get to a8 in order to promote. Are you following me? Now in order to know if I need the help of the king, we do a shortcut again by creating the square of the pawn. Alright? Now who can remind me, how do I create the square of the pawn? How do I find the first square, the first corner? Where is the first corner? Yes. Where the pawn is at. Very good. Where the pawn is at is the first corner. Where's the next corner? Yes. Where the pawn is going to promote. Very good. That's the next corner. How do I find the third corner? Yes, sir.
Diagonal from the pawn to
Very good. A diagonal from the pawn to the end of the board, which will land me right here. That would be the third corner. Very good. All right, let's move this line. Where's the fourth corner? Yes. In line with the pawn. Very good. Now these four corners then form the square of the pawn. Now question class, look at this king. Is the king in the square?
No, sir.
So we know without a shadow of a doubt that the king is unable to catch the pawn. Are you following me? It means therefore that we can push the pass pawn without thinking. Now if it's white to move, white will then move, and that creates a different square. Let's draw the squares again. Bam, 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 bam. The king is unable to get in the square. Even if he gets closer, the pawn moves again, which forms a different square. Now, are you realize that every time the pawn moves, the square gets smaller?
Yes.
Good. He goes closer, he moves, and the square again gets smaller. Even if he comes closer, then the queen will promote. Alright, now let's undo. Bam, 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 bam. Again, we're in this position. The square is there. I move, square gets smaller. I move, square gets smaller. I move, square gets smaller. I move, and I promote. It's all over. Now let's look at the position now with black to move. Now with black to move, could he step in the square right away?
No.
So if he's unable to step in the square right away, he still loses. Let's try again. He could step forward, but it's still too late because he is unable to step in this wonderful square that we have right here. So it's still too late. So I run. He tries to get close. I run by running. Yes, I of course create a new square. Again, he tries to get close to the square. I run. He tries to get close to the square. I run. He tries to get close to the square. I promote. It is too late. Alright? Now, let's go back to this position right now. But instead of the king being here, let's put the king right here. Now, let's look at the square again. Bam, 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 bam. Now, if it's black to move, will the king be able to step in the square?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Now, once the king is able to step in the square, it does not make any sense we push the pawn. Because pushing the pawn is just pretty much a waste of our time. Well, in this position here, we don't have much of a choice anyway, because not like our white king can support the pawn on e4. So pushing, is useless. We just up our draw right away. Let's see. What would the black king do in this position here then? Step in the square of the pawn, alright? He would step in the square of the pawn. Now when the pawn moves, he creates a next square again. Yes, we know he creates a next square. But we are still not afraid because once we are able to step in the square again, and you realize that every time that the pawn runs, I just step in the square and I'm able to catch the pawn and I will munch that pawn. Are you following me now? Alright, so that is pretty much the rule of the square. Now I'm going to put an exposure on the board. Let's go back. Alright, I'm going to grab this pawn. I'm going to put this pawn here. And I'm going to move this king. And I'm going to put this king right here. Now, raise your hand if you figure out the answer. If it is white to move, will the king be able to catch the pawn? Raise your hand if you figured it out. If it is white to move, will the king be able to catch the pawn? Yes. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Will the king be able to catch a pawn if white moves? Huh? Alright. Does everyone agree with her? She said yes. The king will be able to catch a pawn?
Yes, sir.
I disagree with you all.
No, sir. Yes, sir.
Look, let's create the box first. Bam, 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 bam. Let's create the box. Now the rule says if the king is not in the box or able to step in the box, he will not catch a pawn. But if it's white to move, remember, when white moves, the box changes. That's what we keep forgetting. When white moves, the box changes. Is the king able to step in the box at this time? He's not able to step in the box at this time, so the game is over. He tries, but it's too late. promote. Let's undo. However, if it was black's turn to move, it's a little bit different because black would step in the box right away. Are you following that, class?
Yes.
Black would just, if it was black's turn to move, black would step in the box. And the game is over. So let's recap. Using the box method is a shortcut to finding out whether or not the king can catch a pawn. Now this is very important because within a game you have time to say, okay, I go there, him go there, I go there, him go there, I go there, she go there, I go there. No. You don't have any time to do that, especially if you're in time pressure. But when you look on the board and you say, okay, box, bam, 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 he's not in the box, I can't push, queen, bam, 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 checkmate. That's how you're going to work it because when you're at this position, you're down in time. So you're going to know to use these shortcuts. Alright? Now, that brings us to the end of our session on rule of the square. We're going to be doing some practice over the board now. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this game.